Welcome to ChiroPad TV. This is Dr. Paul Bindell, President of Life Systems Software. It is with great pleasure that we provide you with this segment of our video training series for the ChiroSuite programs. Customization in ChiroPad is a very easy process. The steps for this process are: come to Tools, select Customize, expand ChiroPad, select the area that you want to customize, and then click on Tools, refresh local verbiage, and when the message verbiage copied appears, just click OK. Once you have completed those steps, the customization will take effect throughout the system. It is critical that you always remember to refresh local verbiage after you do your customization changes, because if you do not refresh the verbiage, the changes will not appear within ChiroPad. Customization in ChiroPad is something that is important in order to make your notes and your reports as unique as possible. In order to customize ChiroPad, come up to Tools and select Customize. Once you're on the customization screen, click on Expand ChiroPad. You may need to scroll up to the top in order to see all the items that we will begin with. The first customization area is for initials. When we click on this, it opens a area that says doctor or transcriptionist initials, and in order to add something on, you would simply click on the Add button and then type in whatever those initials happen to be. As you will see from this screen, not only can you put in initials, you could actually have your full name with your degree following it. Once the initials are located here, then within the ChiroPad Note section, you would be able to select your initials in order to sign every note that you produce. In this way, it would be guaranteed that your notes would clearly be identified as having been prepared by you. Also on this screen, you would be able to click on a specific item and then click on Edit, in which case you would then be able to change the initials that suits you better. Should there be something on the list that you do not want, for example, you want to have your full name and you want to delete the initials themselves, just click on those initials and click on the Delete key. It will verify that you want to make the deletion. You say yes, and they're gone. When you click on Close, any of the changes that you made will be saved automatically. The next area for customization is categories. This is the categories for your notes, so that should you decide to search for certain things within a patient file, it will be very easy for you to find them. The selection that we provide you with is only a starting point. Depending upon how you practice, you can add to this list, edit the list, or delete from it, just as was done with the initials. When you're finished, you would click on Close. Under Subjective Complaints, the heading for Activities of Daily Living is going to give you the ability to add in additional activities of daily living that are impacted by the patient's condition. In order to add to the categories of activities of daily living, you would leave the Available Findings area highlighted, click on the Add button, and that will add a new category, and then you would simply type in whatever that new category happens to be. If on the other side of the coin you wanted to add a new item into the category, first click on the plus sign, then highlight the name of that category, and then when you click on Add, you will be able to add a new item to the list. There can be times where you will say, well, this doesn't exactly say what I want it to. I want to rename this particular item or category. You would simply highlight it, click on Rename, and then you would be able to just type over whatever had been there before and click on Save to save the new entry. If there's something on the list that does not belong there, you would be able to click on it, click on the Delete key, and it will be taken off the list. Once you have made changes here, be sure you click on the Save icon, and then after saving it, you can close the screen by clicking on the Close button. Also under the Subjective Complaints, you have the heading of complaints. Depending upon how you practice, you may want to sort the complaints in ChiroPad by body region, or In some offices, they have preferred to have it in alphabetical order, so you just click on alphabetical and it resorts the list without having the body region heading. Most offices do leave it set to the body region. If, for example, click on head region, that will bring up the list of all the complaints that are located within the head region. If there is something new that you wanted to add in, you would simply click on an item that is similar to it, and then click on the button that says New or Clone. And then you would be able to put in a in-office code item and change the name so that it fits the description very accurately. For the differential diagnosis area within ChiroPad, you would add in any other items that you feel would be appropriate to check into when somebody comes in with a complaint of sinus headache in this instance. You would also note if this complaint applies to males only, females only, or both, if it is a complaint that can have a percentage of improvement, and is it a complaint that can also experience pain. For example, if this was dizziness, you would uncheck pain. The next item is click on the button for regions, and what regions of the body does this particular item apply to. If you see an item that should be on the selected list, you would click on it so that it is highlighted, and then click on the arrow that moves it into the right column so that it would also apply. However, once you have done this, if you put something in by mistake, you can easily click on it again and then click on the arrow that points to the left and it will be taken off the list. When you are finished with your modifications, click OK. The next area is for adjectives. We click on this and this will give you the list of adjectives that would apply to this specific complaint. The column on the left are those items that are available for selection. The column on the right gives you the headings that you should put each one into. So if there is something here that is missing an item, you would scroll down to the point that you want it to be at, click on the heading, and then find those items that start with the correct type of identifier, in this case PQ, and if it is not on the list, you would then click on it and then move it into the column on the right. Once you've made any changes, once again, click OK. The next button is for aggravations, and over here the list of available items is again on the left, and what has been selected is on the right. The idea here is for aggravating factors. When somebody has the sinus headache that we were referring to before, what particular things on this list would contribute to making this sinus headache feel worse? And then you would add to the list or take away from it if you think that's appropriate, and then click OK, and those changes will appear in the appropriate section of ChiroPad. The next area is for reliefs. What factors relieve the patient's problems? What does the patient tell you makes things feel better? Again, the list on the left are those items that are available for selection, and the list on the right are the items that have already been selected. Once you've modified whatever you're going to, click OK. The last part of making this new complaint information available is very important, and that is to go into each verbiage area and make the appropriate changes. So for each verbiage status, you go into the drop-down box and select the item, and then look at the template that is here and change it appropriately. So in this case, we would add in the word sinus, and that is in the area of the head. However, doing it once is not enough. You must go through every random iteration, which means that we put it in here in number 1. Now we click on the arrow that points to the right, and we need to add in the word sinus in iteration number 2, and in iteration 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and so on through all the iterations. When you get finished with the verbiage status for the first item, you would then click on the drop-down arrow, go to the next item, and repeat the process, making sure that you have modified each and every iteration to be accurate for this complaint of sinus headache. You'll need to go through the entire list, item by item, iteration by iteration, until you have made all of the completed changes. You also have the ability of changing the template itself. However, at this particular point in time, I would strongly urge you not to delete and revise the templates unless you have one of our technicians guiding you through the process, because it is extremely important that you use the proper format for anything that will be automatically inserted into that template. Once you have completed everything that is on this screen and added in anything new or clicked on an item and changed it in any way, all you need to do is click OK, and that material will be saved. The next area for customization is the orthopedic and neurological exams. When we click on that, that opens up a screen that shows us the folders that you currently have and the tests that are available to put into each folder. On the available test list, if you click on the word description, everything will be sorted in alphabetical sequence. If you know your in-office ID codes, you can also click on ID, and that will also list everything in the ID sequence. In order to add a new test to the list if we do not have it in the system already, click on the green starburst, give it an ID, type in the name of the test, and then click into the drop-down box for category and identify it as a neurological sign, an orthopedic test, or neurological reflex. Once you have put it in place, then click OK. It will then be added to the list, and it will be available for you to put into your folders. As far as the folders are concerned, if you click on any particular item, that will list all the tests that you have within any given folder. If you want to create a new folder, you would simply click on the Create a New Folder icon, which has a sunburst on it, give it an ID, and then give it a name. You would then click OK, and it will be added on to the top of the folders list. When you click on it so that it is highlighted, you will see there are no tests listed in the folder. Then simply come down the list of test names, choose the ones that apply to this particular folder so that the test name becomes highlighted, and then click on the arrow that points to the left so that it is moved into the box. And you would go through the entire list, choosing all those tests, signs, and reflexes that you want to have on the list. Once it's completed and you click on Close, these particular things will now be available in ChiroPad in the orthopedic exam area. If you have created different test folders, however, and you then find that you want to edit a given test, you would be able to click on the Rename Folder icon, or you would be able to click on a specific item and take the test off of the screen by clicking on it, or you would be able to also click on another test and add it back in very easily. On the other side of the coin, if there is a file or folder that you do not want to have anymore and you don't want it to be showing up on your list, you can click on the file and then click on the garbage can to delete the folder, and it will verify that you want to take it away, and when you click yes, it is taken off the list. There is no reason for you to have an excessive number of folders that you do not make use of. A similar concept applies within the available tests. If it is a test that you are 100% sure you will never ever make use of, you can click on that particular item and then click on the garbage can to delete it that's on the far right, and it will be permanently removed. Once you're finished making whatever modifications you want with the orthopedic and neurologic exams, simply click on Close. The next area for customization is range of motion. When you click on range of motion, you will see that there is a list of the various tables that we have in the system. And as you go down the list, you will be able to note that not only does the table show up, but it also shows the normal range of motion. If, for whatever reason, you need to modify the normal range of motion, you would be able to bring up the table, click on the item, and change the degrees of movement. If you click on an item and find that something is missing from the list, then click on the green starburst to add in a new item that would be on that particular list. You would also give the normal degrees of motion for that item, click OK, and it will be added on. If, however, you're increasing the size of one of the tables, or creating a totally new table for that matter, and you need multiple headings, then you would be able to click on Name, click on Title, and then click OK, not filling in anything in the degrees of motion, and then you would have a title for that particular area. In order to create a totally new table, you would click on the icon that has the sunburst, the Create a New Table icon, and that will ask you to give it an ID of some type, and then fill in whatever its name is. You would click OK, and the new table would be created, and you would then need to fill in the ranges of motion and the normals for it. If there is a table that you are sure you will absolutely never use, then you can click on that item and click on the Delete Table area. For example, the cervical table range of motion was created before the spinal one was. In order to create the spinal one, we simply clicked on the Clone Table icon, and that allowed us to give it a new ID and a new name. And when we clicked OK, it already had filled in the cervical areas, and we just needed to add in the thoracic and lumbars. When you're finished with any editing on this particular screen, once again, just click on Close, and you will be brought back to the main customization area. For the spinal examination, click on Adjustments, and this gives you the adjustment result. Over here, the first item is a circle with no number in it. This means that there was no possibility of correction due to guarding and restriction of the segment, and if you prefer to have other comments or other statements, you would be able to fill those in as well as additional iteration numbers. If you do not like the random iterations that we have in the system for each of these areas, then you can redo them yourself. To summarize, the circle with no number means that the patient was not able to tolerate even the least amount of pressure that you could have applied to them, so there was no movement that took place. The selection with the 0 means the patient was able to accept whatever pressure you applied, but there was no perceptible movement at whatever vertebral level you were trying to adjust. 1 is for slight movement, 2 is for moderate movement, 3 is for good or excellent movement, 4 is the same as number 1, just adding in a phrase that in effect means with noted improvement. 5 is the same as 2, but again, with noted improvement. 6 is the same as 3, once again, with noted improvement. 7 is blank right now. This is something where you can add in your own special verbiage for whatever you want it to say. A recommendation is that not only should you put in one iteration, you should put in multiple iterations so that there will still be a randomization even for that cosmic adjustment that healed the patient of everything. The number 8 is for the adjustment results that show up in the Pocket PC version of ChiroPad. When you're finished making whatever changes, click OK, and you'll be brought back to the main customization screen. For fixation, the 0 means that there was no significant degree of fixation. The lock with the arrow pointing down means that there was a decrease in the fixation. NC is for no change. The arrow pointing up is that there was an increase in the amount of dysfunction. 1 is mild fixation, 2 is moderate, 3 is a severe degree of joint fixation. And this is the template for fixation, is the last item that is listed here. You can make changes in any of these areas. For this last one, as far as the template, please make sure that you make changes only with guidance from our technician. Once you're finished with everything, keep in mind that as you go through each of these areas, each one has multiple iterations, and if you're going to make any changes, in order to keep things consistent, you must make changes in each of the iterations that is present. Or, if you simply want to add to it, you can create additional iterations of your own. Once you are finished, click OK, and it brings us back to the customization area. Clicking on the selection for pain, edema, and temperature, for each particular item that is here, you're going to be able to enter specific information. The pain symbol is the lightning bolt or squiggly line. The swelling or edema symbol looks like a diamond shape or possibly a muscle belly. The temperature is represented by a triangle. And the palpation symbols are related to the Pocket PC version of ChiroPad. 0 means there was no pain or no edema or normal temperature. The arrows pointing down mean that it was reduced or decreased. NC is for no change. The arrows pointing up mean that it was increased or worse. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 indicate mild, moderate, and severe. Again, for each item that is here, there are multiple iterations, and it is up to you if you're going to make changes to make sure that you apply them to each and every iteration that is present. When you're finished, click OK. For the subluxation listings, for each area, you would first select the level of the spine that it applies to, and then select the listing. In this instance, for the occipital subluxation, for posterior, there is no verbiage, which means that when you're in ChiroPad, you will get a pop-up message that says you cannot have a subluxation with this listing at this level of the spine. The reason is simple. There's no verbiage in the system. If you put verbiage in, then the system will be able to accept a subluxation at that level. In other words, if you use a technique that says that you can have a straight posterior subluxation of occiput, then it is critical that you type in the verbiage in this space for that subluxation. Click on one of the other listings so that you can see the format that is used, and then use random iteration numbers to see the other selections. Keep in mind that the more iterations you put in, the more varied your notes will be, and the less canned they will look. You have the ability to go to each and every spinal level and choose each and every type of listing that is present. If you use a technique that allows for a certain type of listing that we have not put in, the simple solution is just click on that particular area and then click on the item and type in whatever the verbiage is that you need. When you're finished on the screen, just click OK. Tonicity is for hyper or hypotonicity within the paraspinal muscles. The musical notes pointing upward indicate hypertonicity. The musical tones pointing down indicate hypotonicity. 1, 2, and 3 indicate mild, moderate, and severe. The number 4 indicates severe spasm. 0 means there was no hypertonicity or no hypotonicity. The arrows pointing down indicate that the level of tonicity was reduced. NC is for no change. And the arrows pointing up indicate that it was increased or made worse. Once again, each item has multiple iterations, so that if you're going to make changes, be sure that you go through all the iterations and that they all say what you want them to. Then click OK. In the assessment area, for pre-existing contribution, these are the lead-in phrases, because in the pre-existing contribution list in the assessment screen, you already have the list of items there. All you need to do is make sure that the lead-in phrase says the right thing to include everything that you check off. The condition status is something that you can create new items. If there is something that is similar to another one, you'd be able to click on it and then click on Clone the item, change the mnemonic, give it a new name, click OK, and then it will be on the list and available for you. If there's something on the list that you would like to see in a different sequence in your own version of ChiroPad, highlight it, then click on it with the left mouse button, and holding the left mouse button down, drag it either up or down the list to wherever you want it to be, and when you let go of the mouse, it will appear in that specific location. For each item, there is verbiage, and when you click on the verbiage, you need to verify that it says what you want it to, and go through each and every iteration to make sure that all the verbiage is the way you want it to be. Once you're finished on the screen with the care status, just click OK, and then we can move on to the current progress. Once you go into the current progress area, you would be able to click on any item, click on the verbiage button, and see what the verbiage is going to say when you make that selection in ChiroPad. Keep in mind that there are multiple iterations or variations, and you can scroll through them by clicking on the iteration numbers. The hint that is here is how you can create additional verbiage to add in to this particular section. When you're finished, click OK, and then on this screen you also have a hint which tells you what you can do to rename a specific item, and that you should enter additional verbiage for anything that you want. Once you're finished making your changes, click on OK, and this will appear in the progress list within ChiroPad. The current progress fits into a sentence that begins as resulting from something. So by clicking on the resulting from lead-ins, you would be able to see what those lead-in phrases are showing and talking about. You would also be able to add additional lead-in phrases or modify the ones that are present. When you're finished with whatever entries, click OK. The plan area for modalities brings up the list of items that you will see in your treatment plan area of ChiroPad. On this list, you are able to sort the list by clicking on a given item and holding the left mouse button down, drag it up or down the list to the point that you want it to appear at. In addition, let's say that there are a lot of things that are on this list that you do not use in your practice. All you need to do is click on each item, put a check in the box that says Mark as deleted when closed, then go to the next item and repeat that. And as you go through the list, once you have checked off everything that you do not want to appear on your list, when you click OK, the next time that you go back into the list, those items will no longer be visible. However, if you wanted to bring them back for any reason, all you need to do is click on the button that says Retrieve Deleted, and they will all reappear once again. If there is a service that you provide in your office, or a product that you provide in your office, that does not appear on this list, then what you can do, if it is similar to something that is here, you would be able to click on that item and click on Clone Item. If it is not similar to something that is on the list, you would simply click on New Item, create a mnemonic or phrase for it, name it, click OK, and then be sure that you set up synonyms for it and goals. Once you've completed everything that you need to do on this screen, then simply click OK. Within the treatment plan area, you also have regions. These regions can be arranged in the order in which you would like them to appear in your ChiroPad notes. So if you click on an item, hold the left mouse button down, and drag it down or up the list, it will appear in the space that you want it to. That way, when you're in ChiroPad, the list will be in the sequence that you benefit from the most. If there is an item that we did not include on this list that you need, if it is similar to something that is already on the list, just click on that item and then click on Clone Item, give it a mnemonic and a description, and click OK. If it is not similar to anything that's already on the list, click on New Item, create a mnemonic and a description for it, and then click OK. If there is a reason to edit the item, editing means that you simply change the name. For each of these items, you also need to have a certain amount of verbiage for it. So if you click on it, you can give it whatever name you need to. For most items that are on this particular list, there are not too many ways of saying this particular body region. Once you're finished on this screen, just click OK. Also, on the plan screen of ChiroPad, you have an area for visit status. Within that, you would be able to set up the list of visit status according to what is most beneficial to your office. You can click on an item and drag it up the list or drag it down the list to wherever you need it to appear. That way, the items that you use the most frequently can always be at the top of the list and the easiest to find, and those that you use with rarity or infrequency can be down at the bottom of the list. If you want to set up a new treatment plan schedule, you would be able to either click on a new item or clone. Keep in mind that when you clone an item, you're just creating a mnemonic and a list box description. But then once you have that new item created, you would want to go into the verbiage area and make sure that you have it entered in the system so that the verbiage is exactly what you want it to be. Once you're finished on the screen, click OK, and you're ready to move on. The customization for the diagnostic imaging report is covered in the diagnostic imaging video presentation, so it is not going to be repeated at this time. Customization in ChiroPad is a very easy process. The steps for this process are: come to Tools, select Customize, expand ChiroPad, select the area that you want to customize, and then click on Tools, refresh local verbiage, and when the message verbiage copied appears, just click OK. Once you have completed those steps, the customization will take effect throughout the system. It is critical that you always remember to refresh local verbiage after you do your customization changes, because if you do not refresh the verbiage, the changes will not appear within ChiroPad. Thank you for watching this training video. Should you have additional questions that were not answered here, please contact support@chiropad.com or call us at 973-625-3716. We will do everything we can to make sure that you get the maximum benefit from using the ChiroSuite programs.